Your blood is thickening right now. Your legs are swelling to twice their normal size, and you probably haven't even noticed the dull ache in your calves yet. Stop. The airlines will never tell you that a single extra inch of fabric on your bag is worth $75 to their bottom line. They won't volunteer the fact that an overbooked flight could put $1,500 of cold, hard cash directly into your wallet. The system is rigged. It is designed to profit from your exhaustion, your silence, and your total lack of knowledge regarding your own rights. You are walking through a financial minefield every time you step into a terminal. But you don't have to be a victim. There are 12 rules that the industry hopes you never learn. Master them, and you stop being a profit margin and start being the person in control. Rule 1 of 12. 82% of travelers assume their carry-on is perfectly safe until the moment a gate agent points toward that dreaded metal sizing box. It happened to Scarlett, a 22-year-old photographer from Austin, while she was navigating the chaotic crowds at Athens, ATH. She had used the same canvas backpack for 5 years across 3 continents without a single issue. But the industry is shifting, and the rules she knew were suddenly obsolete. As she approached gate B12, the agent didn't look at her passport first. He looked at her bag. With a sharp gesture, he pointed to the sizer. Scarlett slid the bag in, but it hit a snag. It didn't drop. Just half an inch of overstuffed fabric prevented the bag from reaching the bottom of the frame. The agent's voice cut through the hum of the terminal like a blade. "That bag is oversized. That will be a $75 gate check fee." The silence that followed felt like a spotlight on her face as other passengers shuffled past. Here is the fix you need to know. Airlines are quietly shrinking their sizing boxes by up to half an inch to catch bags that technically meet the written dimensions. They are banking on your ignorance of this subtle hardware change. Never trust your old measurements. Underpack your bag and leave at least 2 inches of squish room at the very top. If you get stopped, don't argue, act. Pull out your heaviest jacket and put it on. Take your heavy laptop charger and shove it in your pocket. By thinning the profile of the bag, you allow gravity to do the work. A bag that drops freely into the sizer ends the conversation immediately. Scarlett avoided the fee by wearing 4 layers of clothing in the sweltering Greek heat. It was uncomfortable for 10 minutes, but it saved her $75. Cheap seat, expensive mistake. You just saved your cash, but that is nothing compared to the massive financial loop you can fall into if you don't understand Rule 2, the 24-hour refund loophole. Rule 2 of 12. You just realized you booked a flight for the wrong month. Your heart sinks. You stare at the confirmation email for a $1,200 ticket and see the words non-refundable in bold black letters. Most travelers think they are stuck with that mistake the second they hit the purchase button. They are wrong. Take Clara, a 31-year-old graphic designer from London, who was frantically booking a return flight from London, LHR, to New York. In her rush at 11:30 p.m., she selected June instead of July. She assumed the money was gone forever, vanished into the airline's coffers. The airline won't tell you this, but in the United States, the Department of Transportation mandates a safety net. If you book a flight to, from, or within the U.S. at least 7 days before your departure, the airline must allow you to cancel that booking for a full refund within 24 hours. It doesn't matter if the ticket says non-refundable. They profit from your fear and your haste. The fix is simple. Don't wait for a customer service agent to pick up the phone. Go directly into the airline's app or website and look for the Cancel button. If it's within that 24-hour window, the law is on your side. You get your money back in cash, not in useless vouchers or expiring credits. Reality check. This only works if you book directly through the airline's own portal. If you used a third-party discount site, you are subject to their hidden, often predatory, policies. Clara realized her mistake at 2 a.m. and had her refund processed by 2:05 a.m. She saved her entire vacation budget with 5 minutes of knowledge. But while a ticket can be fixed, your digital privacy is a much harder thing to reclaim. You just saved $1,200. But wait until Rule 3. Biometric opt-out rights changes how you look at airport security. Rule 3 of 12. Gabriel, a 44-year-old attorney from Miami, stood in a winding line at Miami, MIA, watching as every passenger stepped up to a glowing, high-tech pillar. There were no paper tickets and no QR codes, just a flash of blue light and a camera lens staring back at them. It looked like the future, efficient, fast, and sterile. But to Gabriel, it felt like an invasion. When it was his turn, the gate agent didn't ask for his boarding pass. She simply pointed at the lens and told him to look at the camera. The system is rigged to make you feel like this is a mandatory part of modern travel. It isn't. The airline won't tell you this, but biometric facial scans are strictly optional for U.S. citizens. Most travelers comply because the line is moving fast, the agents look impatient, and no one wants to be the person holding up the flight. They are banking on your desire to blend in. Gabriel chose to speak up. He knew that once his biometric data was captured, he had no control over where it was stored or how it was used. The fix is easier than you think. Before you even reach the camera, look the agent in the eye and say clearly, "I would like to opt out of the biometric scan and request a manual document check." The agents are trained to handle this. They will take your physical passport, scan it manually, and cross-reference your face with the photo on the ID. It adds maybe 30 seconds to your boarding process. There are no secret codes or special forms required, just firm, calm politeness. Gabriel boarded his flight without having his facial geometry stored in a third-party database. He kept his data, and he kept his dignity. But privacy is a small victory when you're facing the physical gauntlet of security. Rule 4. The security gauntlet is where the rules are finally beginning to change in your favor. Rule 4 of 12. Did you know that the most hated rule in the history of aviation is finally starting to crumble under the weight of new technology? Theodore, a 52-year-old chef from Portland, was sprinting through the terminal at Boston, BOS, last Tuesday at 5:45 a.m. He had a 5-ounce bottle of expensive handcrafted hot sauce in his carry-on, a gift for a friend. His heart was pounding because he knew the standard protocol. If that bottle hit the X-ray machine, it would be flagged, seized, and tossed into a gray trash bin within seconds. That is $60 of product gone because of a rule from 2006. He reached the security line and started fumbling with his zipper, ready to surrender. But then he saw something different. Instead of the flat gray belts of the past, there was a massive white tunnel that looked like a medical device. The airline won't tell you this, but the 3.4-ounce rule is slowly dying. New CT scanners are being installed in major hubs that create three-dimensional images so detailed that agents can identify the molecular density of liquids without you ever opening your bag. Theodore didn't have to take a single thing out. If you see a machine that looks like a giant white tube, you are likely in a high-tech lane. Stop. This technology isn't everywhere yet. They are banking on your ignorance of the specific equipment at each airport. If your connecting flight in a smaller city uses the old, flat X-ray machines, they will still take your liquids. Theodore made it through BOS with his gift intact, but he was lucky. You just saved your belongings, but that is nothing compared to the psychological pressure you face when Rule 5, behavioral profiling at the border, puts you in the hot seat. Rule 5 of 12. Over 60% of secondary screenings at international borders have nothing to do with what is in your suitcase. They are triggered by your non-verbal cues. Customs officers are highly trained to spot micro-hesitations, the tiny, split-second delays in your speech that suggest you are hiding something. Joseph, a 23-year-old student from Chicago, just landed at Paris, CDG, after a grueling flight. He was exhausted, his eyes were bloodshot, and his mind was foggy. When the officer looked at him and asked, "What is the purpose of your visit?" Joseph felt a strange surge of defensiveness. He thought, "Why does it matter? I have my visa." He hesitated for exactly 2 seconds. He stammered, I'm just here to see some museums, I guess." Stop. That delay just painted a target on his back. The officer didn't see a tired student. He saw a person who was unsure of their own story. The system is rigged because it uses your natural exhaustion against you. They are banking on your ignorance of behavioral psychology. Here is the fix. Customs officers don't want a long-winded story or a resume. They are looking for a baseline of normal behavior. Answer every question with exactly 1 or 2 words. Tourism. Business. Student. Keep your hands visible, maintain steady eye contact, and do not fidget with your passport. If you act like you belong there, they will treat you like you do. Reality check. Being defensive or overly talkative makes you a suspicious person in their eyes, even if you have 0 contraband. Joseph was pulled into a side room for an hour of questioning because of a 2-second pause. Cheap seat. Expensive mistake. Subscribe to Beat the System and keep your travel smooth. You just survived the border, but your digital life is still at risk. Rule 6. Digital footprint. Scrubbing is the only way to ensure your past doesn't ruin your future. Rule 6 of 12. You need to scrub your digital footprint long before you even think about heading to the terminal. Take the case of Sophia, a 37-year-old marketing lead traveling out of Amsterdam, AMS. She thought a sarcastic joke on her social media feed about destroying her competition on a business trip was harmless office humor. She was wrong. Security algorithms are designed to flag specific keywords, and destroy is high on that list. Sophia was sitting at the gate, checking her emails, when 2 officers approached her. They didn't want to see her ticket. They demanded to see her phone. The airline won't tell you this, but security is the first line of defense, and the system is rigged to treat every joke as a potential threat. Sophia spent 4 grueling hours in a windowless room, explaining a pun to people who were trained not to laugh. She missed her flight, lost $300 in rebooking fees, and had her name added to a domestic watch list for further screening. One post, total chaos. The fix is mandatory. Set every single one of your social media accounts to private at least 48 hours before you depart. Delete any captions that could be misinterpreted by machine learning algorithm. If an agent asks for your device, stay calm and comply, but realize that your best defense is having nothing for them to find in the first place. Sophia eventually made it home, but that single joke is now a permanent part of her travel record. Don't be a victim. You've scrubbed your feed, but your physical comfort is the next target. A tiny seat is waiting for you, and you'll need a plan for when Rule 7, the Middle Seat Manifesto, becomes your only hope for survival. Rule 7 of 12. Leo, a 41-year-old financial analyst, sat in his cramped economy seat at Frankfurt, FRA, staring at the man in the middle seat. It was a battle of inches. Both armrests were gone, occupied by elbows that refused to budge even a fraction of an inch. Leo is 6 feet tall, but in that tiny space he felt like he was 7 feet tall and trying to fit into a shoebox. It was going to be an 8-hour flight across the Atlantic, and he was already losing the war for territory. Stop. Most passengers assume that armrests are a first-come, first-served, free-for-all. They aren't. They are banking on your ignorance to avoid cabin-wide complaints about personal space. The system is rigged because airlines have shrunk seat widths to the point where human shoulders literally cannot fit side by side without overlapping. Here is the fix, and it is the unwritten law of the sky. The passenger in the middle seat gets both armrests, period. The window passenger has the wall to lean against. The aisle passenger has the ability to stretch their legs into the walkway. The person in the middle is trapped in a sandwich zone with no perks and no escape. Giving them both armrests is the only way to maintain a shred of dignity and peace in the cabin. Leo waited for a quiet moment and then politely mentioned this standard etiquette to his neighbor. The man, realizing he was being the aggressor, moved his arms. Crisis averted. Leo finally relaxed, but a comfortable armrest won't save your life. That is nothing compared to the hidden medical danger of Rule 8, the DVT defense. Rule 8 of 12. Do you know what actually happens to your blood when you sit in a pressurized cabin at 30,000 feet for more than 4 hours? The airline won't tell you this, but gravity becomes your silent enemy. When you are stationary, your blood begins to pool in your lower extremities. Take Mateo, a 26-year-old writer from Los Angeles who was flying out of Los Angeles, LAX, on a long-haul flight to London. 5 hours in, his ankles felt like they were being squeezed by invisible bands. He noticed his shoes felt tight, but he ignored it. He shouldn't have. When your circulation slows to a crawl, you risk deep vein thrombosis, or DVT. This is a blood clot that can travel to your lungs with fatal results. This is where the industry screws you. They prioritize packing as many seats as possible over the legroom necessary for healthy circulation. Stop. Here is the fix you need to survive. First, wear compression socks that provide 15 to 20 millimeters of mercury of pressure. This acts as an external pump for your veins. Second, you must perform ankle pumps every 30 minutes.
Flex your feet toward your shins and then point your toes away 10 times. This manually forces blood back toward your heart. Third, skip the alcohol. That gin and tonic dehydrates your system and makes your blood thicker and more prone to clotting. Matteo made it to London, but his legs stayed swollen and painful for 4 days. Reality check. Most people will just feel stiff, but a small percentage will face a life-threatening emergency. Move your feet. Matteo got lucky, but luck is a poor strategy when your equipment fails. Rule 9. The broken seat upgrade is how you get paid for their maintenance failures. Rule 9 of 12.
1 in 5 long-haul passengers will encounter some form of seat malfunction during their journey. Michael, a 58-year-old realtor from New York, was boarding a 6-hour flight from New York, JFK, to the West Coast at 6 a.m. He was exhausted from a long week of closing deals. He sat down, reached for the lever to recline his seat, and felt a sickening snap. The seat back was frozen in a bolt-upright position. When he tried to lower his tray table for his laptop, it hung at a useless 45-degree angle, spilling his coffee into his lap. The flight was fully booked. Every seat was taken. Michael felt a wave of pure frustration. This is where they profit from your silence. Most passengers will just sigh and suffer through the discomfort for 6 hours. Don't be that person. Call the flight attendant immediately and use these exact words. I am sorry, but this seat is non-functional and poses a safety risk for my tray and posture. If they cannot move you to another seat, they are not legally required to refund your ticket, but they are highly incentivized to keep you from filing a formal complaint. Ask for an in-flight service report. This creates a digital paper trail that the airline cannot ignore. Often, this results in an immediate voucher for $200 or 10,000 frequent flyer miles as compensation for the broken equipment. Michael walked off that flight with enough miles for a free domestic trip. They profit when you stay quiet. You win when you speak up. But a broken seat is nothing compared to the 3-hour nightmare of Rule 10, the tarmac delay rule. Rule 10 of 12. Check your watch the exact second that cabin door clicks shut. Jacob, a 33-year-old nurse from San Francisco, was sitting in seat 14B at San Francisco, SFO, staring at the gray, rain-slicked tarmac. The pilot's voice crackled over the speakers, mentioning a minor technical delay. 1 hour passed. Then 2. The air inside the cabin became stale and hot. Passengers were getting restless, and the smell of jet fuel was starting to cause headaches. Jacob felt like a hostage in a pressurized tin can. He was right. Most people sit in silence, hoping the plane will move. The airline won't tell you this, but federal law has a hard limit on your suffering. If you are on a domestic flight and you are stuck on the tarmac for more than 3 hours, the airline is likely in violation of Department of Transportation rules. At the 2-hour mark, they are legally required to provide you with water and a snack. Once that clock hits 180 minutes, you generally have the right to demand to be let off the plane, unless there is a specific safety or security reason to stay. Jacob hit the call button at the 2-hour and 45-minute mark and asked the lead attendant about the tarmac delay contingency plan. Suddenly, the plane began taxiing back toward the gate. They profit when you don't know the clock. Jacob got home because he knew the law. Knowledge is your power. But time isn't the only thing you can lose. Rule 11. The $3,800 lost luggage payout is the secret they hope you never discover. Rule 11 of 12. Harper, a 29-year-old pharmacist from Charlotte, stood by the baggage carousel at Charlotte, CLT, watching the last few suitcases circle like tired sharks. The belt gave a final mechanical jerk and then stopped completely. A sign flashed, "End of delivery." Her bag was gone. Inside were her professional clothes for a high-stakes conference and all of her essential toiletries. The gate agent at the service desk offered a tired sigh and a $50 travel voucher. "This is all we can do for now," he said. He was banking on her ignorance of federal liability. "Stop. Do not sign that voucher. The airline won't tell you this, but for domestic flights within the U.S., the maximum liability for lost or damaged luggage is $3,800. While your bag is missing, the airline is often responsible for reimbursing you for incidental expenses. We're talking about the clothes you need for your meeting, your toothbrush, and even a replacement charger for your phone. The key is the paper trail. Keep every single receipt from the moment you leave the airport empty-handed. Harper didn't take the voucher. She went to a nearby mall, bought a professional outfit and basic supplies, and filed a claim with her receipts. The airline was forced to reimburse her for the full $400 she spent. Reality check. They won't pay for a designer tuxedo if you're traveling for a camping trip. Your claim must be reasonable and necessary. Harper got her career-saving outfit for free because she knew the limit. But a lost bag is a minor inconvenience compared to the massive payout you can get if you are forced off your flight. Rule 12. The 400% involuntary bump payday is the ultimate secret of the industry. Rule 12 of 12. Did you know that airlines intentionally sell more tickets than there are seats on the plane? They are gambling that some people won't show up. At Denver, DEN, Nora, a 55-year-old librarian, found herself on the losing side of that gamble. She was heading home after a long week, but the gate agent had bad news. "We're overbooked, and we need volunteers," he announced, offering a $200 voucher to wait for the next flight. Nora almost took it. Stop. The airline is banking on your ignorance. They want you to take that monopoly money and disappear. Vouchers come with expiration dates and blackout rules that make them almost worthless. The system is rigged to protect their cash flow. Here is the fix. If they force you off a flight, this is called involuntary denied boarding. You are often entitled to a massive cash payout. In the U.S., if the airline delays you by more than 2 hours on a domestic flight, they may owe you 400% of your one-way fare, up to a maximum of $1,550. Nora didn't budge. She looked the agent in the eye and said, "I am not volunteering. If you bump me involuntarily, I want my compensation in a check, not a voucher." Suddenly, the agent found a way to get her on a different flight that arrived only an hour late, along with a significant cash settlement for the trouble. Nora made it home with $600 extra in her pocket. This is the final piece of the puzzle. If you don't know these rules, the airport will take your money, your time, and your peace of mind every single time. The airlines hate that you know this. Hit subscribe to keep winning and stay one step ahead of the